Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the Watch Engine Show, Ask Engine Show. I don't really know what the name of it is yet, but we're doing it. Got a good episode for you today. We need to introduce the fourth character of this show, and he is quite a character. Mr. Jim, if you will give us 60 seconds to who you are, and then we'll get started into the episode.
Sure. I'm Jim Kane, sitting in, literally, for John James, and I'm the CTO at Engine. I am a software developer, and I've been doing this for a little over 20 years. I've worked with John at a few previous enterprises. We are two of the people who helped build the one that he talks about a lot, the $100 million hypergrowth online retailer. So I have experience with that stuff, with networks, security, a whole bunch of areas. And today I'm going to hopefully answer some questions about e-commerce.
And he is the liveliest one of the bunch, if you can't tell. He's just a ball of energy over here.
Boom.
Sorry.
I will say that Jim is one of the few actual 10x programmers that I've met that is worth his weight in people. So we're in good company here.
That's
for
fair.
sure.
That's fair. We say nice things on camera.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Only
Yes.
nice things. Only good things. Technical co-founder asks, how many seconds does it take your product page or checkout page to load? And would your conversion rates be affected if you cut this in half? Take it away, Jim.
All right, so two questions there. I guess you were asking about our page in particular, how long it takes it to load. I think that our page load times are under or around a second. And if we cut it in half, would it improve conversion rate? Well, the answer to that one is always yes. Making your page twice as fast will always improve your conversion rate. So for those of you who don't have a 1 second page load time, there's still hope for you. If you've searched around much, you've probably seen some graphs and studies and infographics, and they all answer the obvious question, is a faster page load time better, with yes. But if you look at them, there's kind of an inflection point, kind of where the graph bends, and it's usually right around 2 to 3, maybe 4 seconds. So if your page takes longer than that to load, then any improvement is really, really good. Once you get to 2, 3, 4 seconds, there's sort of a plateau or a mountain you've got to climb where improving your page load time by half a second or a second, it gets you an improvement, but it's a lot harder one of an improvement. So up until, sub-second, and then it starts to pick up again with the return on investment. So I would say if you're in the 2 to 3 second range, probably pretty good for now. The trick there is, what exactly are you measuring? You have to, is your measurement what your customer actually sees, or is it something that's kind of artificial? Because if your customer sees that the page is usable in half a second, but your measurement tool tells you it's 5 seconds, you could improve your measurement tool by half again, and your customer might never notice. So make sure that you're measuring what your customer actually sees and can use.
I think another point there too is a lot of e-com platforms now have multi-page and multi-stage checkouts, and these would be compounding benefits that as you increase your page load time over 3 or 4 pages of checkout, you'll probably see some sort of compounding effect over time.
Absolutely, yes. If you're looking at a funnel and you make each page of the funnel 20% better, then you can expect like you said, a compounded return on that investment, for sure.
Be More Skier is wanting to know about moving their shop from Volusion to Shopify and keeping SEO value. We've had some interesting experience with this over time. And Jim is going to put on the Dream Crusher hat here.
All right, so let's give you some quick context to the Dream Crusher hat. It's a little office joke more than anything else. So when you don the Dream Crusher hat, there are a few rules. You have to crush dreams, then you have to rebuild. So you're taking the inaugural Dream Crusher stance.
I don't take this willingly, but this topic is probably going to crush your dreams. So Blake and I both have some personal experience with this very topic, and it's not really encouraging. When you switch e-commerce platforms from X to Y, whatever X and Y are, generally a lot of the way that Google sees your site is going to look very different. So your URL structures are going to change, the content on your pages is going to change, and that sudden change, search engines do not like that. You can put in redirects, you can try to clean everything up, you can try to make the site look really similar, but I would not get your hopes up too much, especially in the area, and this is the worst part, of organic just search juice. You can expect from a search engine like Google to see about a 90-day window where they're going to treat your site very suspiciously. After that, if you've done the right stuff on your new site, if you haven't taken any liberties, then you should see some return of your organic traffic. But it doesn't happen in every case. And gosh, I wish I had something more to say. I'm crushing too many dreams. But I guess, for your new site, you're obviously moving because you want a better platform than what you had. So just make sure your new site is doing all the right things, and you should see that traffic come back. Again, do the redirects, even if we're being very pessimistic about them. That's still an essential part of moving your site over. So I don't want to say that you shouldn't do any of those things, that you should just set it all on fire. But you just have to be patient, and you have to be realistic about what to expect.
I see this is fine meme.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now
here's a question for people who are not nearly as educated as both of you are on this. When you're saying that you need to set redirects, what does that mean?
Okay, so when you look at a web page or a URL, that's the long string of stuff at the top of the browser. Sometimes a URL, the stuff you get back is not a web page. It's a simple command that says the stuff you wanted isn't here anymore. It's at this other place. And your browser will automatically go to that other place. You've probably seen it say redirecting you to something else. So when you have a site full of products and you have 1,000 products and you put those 1,000 products on another site under different URLs, you'll write out this file with 1,000 little rules that say if someone asks for this, send them to that. And like I said, you have 1,000 products, you do 1,000 redirects. So redirects are something that I hope if you're migrating sites, you get really familiar with.
And we can put a couple names in the show notes, but there are several pretty good tools for doing bulk redirects that people can pay small fees for that will monitor and say, here's all the redirects you've created, here's where they're going right now, and here's redirects that you may have missed. And some of those are awesome.
There, Dreams Rebuilt.
Yeah, Dreams Rebuilt.
Can you place the hat back now?
Muscles Broad 24 asks, how would you guys target selling a leather bracelet? We'll approach this one from the perspective of Facebook ads. So this is a very, very wide one, so I'll let you make some assumptions, and then we can kind of run from there on it.
Yeah. So the first thing with this is making some gross assumptions on this. So I'll go through those very quickly to set the context, and then we'll run into it. So I'm going to assume a few things. Number one, if you're selling a leather bracelet that is not proprietary to you, you're not making it or you're not private labeling it, things of that nature. If you're purchasing a leather bracelet from Alibaba or you're purchasing it from someone else, you're going to have a rough time because ultimately you no longer are keeping the margin because you're a vertically integrated brand. And secondly, unless you're doing something to distinguish you, to separate you from the thousands of other people also selling leather bands, or you're picking one up in the mall, things like that. You can go to Hollister and, while you're wafting through the perfume in darkness, pick one up. Someone might slap one on you to begin with. So I'm going to address that first. So if you're doing that, the biggest thing, really the only chance, in my opinion, that you have is by going after and targeting places that may be more susceptible to purchasing that. So targeting, different countries. If you're targeting inside the U.S. and you're targeting a savvy customer, you're targeting really anyone over the age of 21, you're going to struggle. So it's going to be then brand association. So the difference between you selling a leather bracelet for $10.99 and you selling a bracelet for $1,000 is whose wrist it is on. If I have money to go and get Kylie Jenner to wear my bracelet, I'm going to sell some bracelets. If you need brand affinity, so you need to latch on to influencers, you need them to bring relevancy, you need them to bring trust to your company. So that's what I would recommend. Obviously, if you don't have the money for Kylie Jenner, find the best person that you can that you're going to be able to sell to their audience. Now, moving into, it is your own brand, it is your company, you are a leather company, things of that nature. Ultimately, what's going to set you apart is very similar: who's wearing it, what type of associations you have as a brand, and then secondly, how good you are at storytelling. Being able to craft a story around how that was created, being eco-friendly, Wooden is a wooden phone case company that did really well, and it's because they told stories about their phone cases. They told stories about where the wood came from, and it set them apart. So that's a way that you can do that. Again, selling your own product if you're vertically integrated, that's your best bet. And then it's just testing audiences, testing creatives, and seeing how you can warm an audience up before you just go in for the sale. If you're simply posting, buy my bracelet, it's $39.95, and there's no story, there's no connection, there's no affinity, then you're going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big points I liked from there was telling a story about kind of the materials. I know that Carved, they're another like wood company that does phone cases and stuff like that. They had a small batch of reclaimed wood from like an 18th century sailing ship. And they made a bunch of content about the expedition to recover this wood and turn it into phone cases. And I know all of those sold out near instantly because there was a compelling story around the material that made up the product.
Yeah.
And I will say that in the case of fashion accessories, like a bracelet, you need to help the customer's imagination as much as you can by, for instance, like you said, getting it on someone's arm, but making it part of an overall look. Because just a picture of a bracelet, that's not nearly as compelling as seeing someone who is dressed with things that coordinate with that bracelet. You give them the look, you kind of do their imagination work for them. You've gone much further towards getting them to buy the whole look, which happens to include your bracelet.
Yeah, lifestyle photos. I mean, that's actually a wider conversation that we can kind of finish on here. Lifestyle photos within a website itself. Y'all have obviously a ridiculous amount of experience with the difference between product and lifestyle photos when it comes to cowboy boots. What was the differences that y'all saw, if you remember the differences between posting a photo of Carrie Underwood in your boot versus posting a photo of a boot, even if it's got a nice backdrop, it's on a layer of hay? What was the impact of, like you said, helping a customer see themselves wearing it as opposed to just, this is mine?
It's no contest. I mean, the lifestyle photos that we made consistently outperformed all the other product shots that we ever took of boots, shirts, pants, anything. And we did a lot of photo content in that business. We shot all over the city that we're currently in. We hired other professionals outside of town. So, yeah, I mean, the lifestyle shots always worked much, much better than straight product shots.
Well, and it almost got to a point where our lifestyle shots were so good, even the ones that lived in the product grid were getting shared out across social mediums. And that's saying something that if your product photos are getting shared, like that's huge, because there's so much value in seeing that in a feed and then landing on a grid page and seeing it again. Just there's that kind of that neural link of how beautiful that image is.
Yeah, perfect. So we end with a question of the day. This is your first episode, so I want you to ask our thriving thousands of people's viewership 3 years from now. But pick your question of the day and ask away for it.
Question for our readers, listeners,
viewers,
whoever, all of the above. Let's see.
1 hour later.
You didn't prep me on this part.
Yeah. It's okay, I'm not going to edit this. It's just going to be dead silence.
Dead silence the entire time.
We'll give them 4 seconds of silence to simulate a slow web page. Let's see.
This is what your customer is feeling right now if you're over 4 seconds.
What technical question that you haven't answered for your own business makes you the most uncomfortable, and why?
I like that.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.